Yeah, give me a crown.
Yeah, the queen of
the queen crown.
The queen.
Yeah, do we have a Queen of Cocodona emoji yet?
I'm surprised.
I don't think so, but
Jimmy-O's probably got something.
Yeah, he has an emoji pack coming probably.
Yeah,
It's a 99-cent purchase on Instagram.
I just want my own. I just want my own little card. I think that would be pretty sick.
You need a belt.
A belt?
Yeah, like the WWF belt. You know what I mean?
Like a giant, like a big sash.
Like you roll in on your shoulder, like, what's up?
Go to Cocodona 2026 to like triple, like, what is it? Triple hat, or what's it called in soccer?
Hat trick?
Oh, hat trick.
Yeah, that's the
hat trick.
I was going for.
Triple hat.
Oh, I can't believe I got the sports.
Hashtag sports.
Way to go.
Sports girl over here.
Now we just need to get to the meeting on time, and you have all the tricks.
Okay, we really tried. All right.
Shots fired.
It's 7 o'clock on a Friday. Come on.
I know. The Indian food.
Yeah, Indian food always gets you.
Get you one way or another.
It's the new place, so we had to try it.
How was it?
Good
food, slow service.
Good food, slow service. Yeah.
Was it worth it to keep us hanging for like 10 minutes?
Yeah, right.
Okay, calm down. It's only 7:09. We've been here at least 5 minutes.
Yeah.
We were all here at 6:40.
We know. We've been counting down.
All right.
If you're not 20 minutes early, you're 20 minutes late.
I know. Well, I was really, for what it's worth, I was anxious the whole time. So, anyway.
Why? Because what we're going to say or what?
Oh, no, because I thought we were going to be late.
Yeah, well.
Yeah. Well, anyway, here we
happens.
are. All right, so this is the crew. Yeah, this is the gang.
This is awesome. This is a killer crew. We've been talking while we've been waiting for you guys.
Wow, a little plug there. Just a
this episode sponsored by Scratch.
Oh, excuse me while I make a hydration drink really quick, dude. Wow. Okay.
Rachel, how much Scratch did you drink during Cocodona?
New flavor.
Let's ask the crew. I don't know how much Scratch I drank. Crew?
Ask Gus.
Wait, is it actually a new flavor? For real?
2 bags.
Yeah, I think I had 2 bags of Scratch and 2 bags of Precision.
Yeah, that's about right.
So
it's not that much.
Well, somehow I went through 4 bags of Scratch, so I brought 4. I left with 0.
Oh, really? Okay. Well, don't look at me. I don't know.
Rachel ate so much she actually can't even remember. That's a first.
Because usually it's like, I had.
Usually you can't remember because you didn't have anything.
Yeah. Yep.
How many pretzels do you have in 40 miles? I forgot.
Probably 3.
Yeah.
1 pretzel every 15 miles.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's what is that, like 5 carbs of?
I don't know.
Yeah,
It's a Rachel Entrekin ratio. That's what that is.
Yeah. I'm fundamentally broken.
I mean, I heard racing's a lot easier when you actually eat and drink, but
yeah, that's what I learned.
I think that was her line, wasn't it? Right?
Yeah, that's what I learned like last week.
Yep. Yeah, racing's a whole lot easier when you fuel the event.
Your pack's not nearly as heavy when you drink and eat the stuff that you're carrying.
Yeah.
That's true. You're not carrying it for 250 miles. It's actually going somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. I probably did carry like 2 liters of water, like most of the time.
You probably carried more rocks than you carried food.
That's probably true. Yeah, that's probably true.
Yeah, what was your it was like rock to weight ratio, or instead of like carb to weight ratio, like how many rocks did you bring home?
I think only 3, but that was only 3 from the race.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a separate excursion for other rocks. Yeah.
Hey, what's up with the rocks?
Oh, did you miss all this?
Yeah, I don't know.
She picks up rocks.
There's one over there.
She picks up rocks during runs and puts them in her vest. It's because she thinks they're cool. And so, we'll unpack her vest, and I'm like, stop picking up rocks, man.
Yeah, because it's pretty like rocks. I have some conveniently right here.
Yeah.
Some rocks that I picked up from today.
Yeah.
I don't know. They're cool.
I wonder how much faster you could have ran Cocodona if you weren't rock hounding the entire time.
At least an hour, probably.
Yeah. I have a rule in most events that I don't want to go backwards, at any point, no matter what. If you forget something at the aid station, too bad, continue. But I did in this race turn around for a really cool rock, and I have no regrets. It was the one with the shell in it. That one was really cool.
The fossil.
It was also pretty big.
It was pretty big. Yeah, it was probably at least a couple pounds.
Where is it now?
Was it worth it? Yeah, where is it now?
I think it's on the kitchen table, isn't it? Is that where all the rocks
I think that's where most of the rocks are living at the moment.
Yeah.
Is your house just like a geology room, just full of rocks everywhere?
No, just her car. Just the dash,
Yeah,
just
just
the
her car.
dash of her car.
Yeah.
The suspension's all clapped out in the front from just like overbearing suspension.
Oh, thank
Exactly.
you. My friend, here is my box of rocks from the race week. So,
Yeah.
so I got like some cool. But this is like quartz. You know, some petrified.
She picks this stuff up during races, just to be clear.
Yeah.
Like, this is stuff we find in her vest during like aid station exchanges. Like,
look at that. That's so cool.
That is pretty
It's
cool.
not that heavy. Thank you. Yeah, I'll send you one, man. You gotta give me your address. I'll send you a rock.
Okay. Yeah, I need more rocks in my life. I live in Utah, there's just rocks here. So.
yeah.
Yeah.
Rocks and dogs.
Rocks and dogs.
Rocks and dogs. That's it.
All right. This is a productive conversation so far. It's going exactly how I expected.
I mean, I've learned a lot about fridges,
and rocks.
dents, and rocks, and that you can't count. What else are we going to learn this evening?
Yeah.
Not much. I don't know.
Gus's cat has no eyes. There's another one.
Yeah.
Where's your blind cat, Gus?
She's roaming.
Is it really blind?
Yeah.
Yeah, no eyeballs. We had them removed just for fun.
Like when you remove your toenails for running, but you removed your cat's eyes just for fun?
Yeah,
no
just
judgment.
to keep her from climbing the fences.
Well, I hear it prevents eye infections if you just remove it. So.
No. As from what we understand, she was born without eyes. So.
Whoa.
We just love her as she is.
Oh, you're such a good guy.
I know.
He is. He is.
So
He's
do you
a
guys
nice
want to
guy on
talk
the
about crew in Cocodona?
Yeah, let's do it.
Man. Yeah.
We already hit the key points: scratch and rocks.
Yeah, basically.
I mean, I've learned everything about everybody, I feel like, just in the last 10 minutes, except for Evan. He's just kind of like here listening and soaking.
That's standard.
He's
just watching us like, what are these idiots doing
Why is this guy
again?
my friend?
Why are
I'll
they
speak
doing
up.
this again?
Yeah. He's like, I have to relive Cocodona.
He's like,
that
"Oh."
week sucked.
The peanut gallery.
Yeah. Correct.
How do you guys all know each other then? Because I don't know anything about like almost any of you guys. Well, I know Gus's name before. I knew Kevin's name before. Obviously Rachel. I didn't know who you were, Jake. Sorry, and Evan. I didn't know who you were. I don't think.
So I'll go first.
How do we all?
You
Okay,
start.
yes. Whoever.
Yeah.
Whoever
So
How'd you guys all meet?
I met Rachel at the Ute 100 in 2023, and from there we did a bunch of running together. I went out to California and visited her, and that's how I met Jake, if I believe correctly. We went on some runs out in the Sierras, and then Gus I met at the beginning of Cocodona, and then Kevin I met him in California as well. So, yeah.
Yep. Yeah. So, yeah, Evan left out the fact that we trauma bonded at the Ute. But we, like, met up at mile, what was it, like 60? And just
It was like
ran
mile 60.
and we just, like, there was this hideous section we both knew we had to go back and do. And it was like, all right, like, I'm leaving when you're leaving. And we just ran the rest of the race together. But, yeah. And then, so Jake and I met 4 years ago, I guess.
Yeah.
Or something at a race
Yeah.
that neither of us finished.
Yep.
And then we've basically just been hooligans together ever since. And then Gus, I know kind of like vis-a-vis somebody else. He's like really good friends with my buddy Steven. Gus, when did I meet you? Did I meet you for the first time last year?
In February, yeah.
Okay.
Right after
So
Black
I've known,
Canyon.
but I've known about Gus for like 7 years. And I think I've talked on the phone with Gus a couple times.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that was pretty funny. And then Kevin, Jake and I went to Western States together, and Kevin's Pacers were sick or something and, like, had to bow out. And so I just paced him from, like, Forest Hill to the finish.
I threw out the bat signal and Rachel just jumped in for 40 miles.
Yeah. But we had never met before, and so it was just like, YOLO. I'm sure this won't be a poor idea. Hopefully this guy's not a serial killer.
Not yet.
Not
Yeah,
yet.
not yet.
Not yet.
TBD.
So yeah, but we've all. I mean, I have individually ran with, I guess, like I said before, I think Gus has been the least because we really only ran that. We ran in LA once and then in Ojai, I guess, once. That was really it. But everybody else, I mean, hundreds of miles probably at this point.
Then you guys all combined forces as like Captain Planet and his crew, and you went out to Cocodona and like crewed that.
Yes.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Did you guys watch that growing up, or is it just me? Am I making an odd
No, I
reference?
knew Captain
No.
Planet.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's someone's doorbell.
Sorry, I'm gonna silence my phone.
Okay. Yeah, let's just talk about Cocodona then, because like I don't know, like Cocodona is one we were talking about before we started recording. Really, we might have been recording. We were talking about a lot of random stuff, but like Cocodona is epic, just super sick race. But like to do Cocodona well, you have to have like a solid crew. Like you can go out there and do it crewless. I think Rachel and I spoke about that, or maybe we didn't. But just how like you could do it if you want, but like you're not going to be competitive. But like to be competitive now, like you have to have a crew. So like kind of just like over like all encompassing. What was it like to crew at Cocodona in 2025?
All right, boys, be nice.
Gus, I like Gus.
I just want the dirt, really. Gus, drop the or spill the dirt or the beans or whatever. Let's hear it.
I mean, I don't know. It's a bit of a all hands on deck situation with like trying to force feed Rachel, trying to get her to drink things, trying to, I don't know, what were we trying to slap on you? Voltaren at certain points. And you were highly resistant.
Well, it was pretty cold.
Yeah. I don't know. It was just a joy.
Yeah, I'm sure it was just like so much fun the entire time. You were never tired. You were never cranky. Never grumpy. Not once.
No, definitely not. We didn't like see you going from aid station to aid station and just like want to jump in with you and escape what we were doing.
I got one extra seat in my truck and that's it.
Yeah. And a bike, so could have just ridden off.
Probably wouldn't get too far in the mud this year though.
So it was a lot different. I crewed her last year in 2024. And this year we were much more dialed in, I could say. You know, we had less crew members, but it seemed like we were more efficient overall. And everybody was there for the right reasons this year. Not that it was different last year, but everybody was kind of dialed in, knew what to do, and it just made everything run a lot more smoother. And she was also running faster, so it meant less rest for us. Just kind of get to the next aid station, prepare, and then kind of move on. So
yeah, I think last year was just kind of new for everybody. Like none of us. I mean, I had done a 200 miler, and Evan had done a 200 miler, and neither of those ones were. I guess Moab was a little similar, but like none of us had done anything like Cocodona. So I think having myself, Evan, and Jake. All three of us had done this event before. I think that really helped make things a little bit more like fine-tuned. Certainly.
Yeah. I was shocked at how little downtime there was for a race this long.
Mm-hmm.
Like you kind of expect this stuff at a 100-miler. It's like, all right, swap bottles, get in the car, go to the next spot, swap bottles, go to the next spot. But on paper, it seemed like we'd have a decent amount of downtime. And like one of our like pre-race goals was make sure the crew was rested, and that just like didn't really happen because it logistically wasn't possible. I mean, some of it was the highway construction really kind of threw a wrench in things because it just like tacked down a bunch of time just navigating between the aid stations. But then she was running so far ahead of like Rachel wouldn't say they were her splits, but the splits I gave her, she was running so far ahead of them early in the race that I was starting to like second guess my math. And so like in your head, I was plugging in numbers of what was like very optimistic, what I thought. And it's like, well, that cuts down an hour off of what we thought we had in between these aid stations. That probably means I shouldn't nap this time. So then it's just like, all right, we'll nap at the next one. And then it like never comes. So like 2 days in, a bunch of us hadn't slept like more than an hour. And luckily, like Evan said, I think things were dialed enough to where like we were still functional, even though we weren't functional. So yeah, it was wild. The race was over like in a heartbeat from my perspective. It went so fast.
Yeah, let's talk about crew efficiency because I know in the past I've seen like at 200s and even during FKTs like mega crews where people bring like 4 or 5 vehicles and it's always just like a giant like from viewing it from an external perspective it's like a giant disaster. Like maybe they don't see it, but you can see how inefficient it is where everyone's trying to do something even if they're not needed. And it's like too many chefs in the kitchen or whatever. So like I guess you guys were just super dialed this year, like what Evan was saying, but like, did you learn that from last year, then apply some of those principles this year and give everybody like specific responsibilities to like be efficient so that way you can get her in and out quickly?
Yeah, I mean, I think comparing it to last year, I was there with Evan, crewing Rachel for Cocodona last year, and you know, I feel that you know. One of the things that gets confusing, like you said, is if you have too many people clamoring on top of each other. And I think there was like a baseline of like, you're going to do this, you're going to do this, and you're going to do that. Everyone there is capable of kind of taking care of whatever has to happen, but kind of knowing what each person was going to do prior to her coming in, I think was paramount. But one of the things I found with this race is that it was moving so quickly that if she came in for an aid stop, if there was something wrong or she says something and then all of a sudden I'm doing what Gus is supposed to do, Evan's doing what I'm supposed to do, and next thing you know, it can kind of snowball, So I think we had a few moments where we kind of like had to not stop, but just really take stock of what's happening and realize like, hey, we're still in the race. Things are kind of getting out of order. But I think having the experience from last year and I think having the experience that each of us has in running and racing, I think was just a really good combination to kind of get her in and out the door as quickly as we could.
I think that I'm just going to point out, I think it's so interesting that you feel like there were spots where things felt chaotic because from my perspective, I had no idea that anything was happening. So good job.
That's the goal,
guys. Yeah, I had no
idea.
I had no idea of anything. It was just like I would come in, stuff would happen, I would leave, and then it would happen seamlessly the next time. So I guess good job. Good job keeping that to yourselves.
Like your lead.
What? Yeah, like your lead. And well,
like my lead.
One of the things that's unique with Rachel is like, I mentioned this, maybe I was talking to you, but like, she will continue to run through basically any scenario, which means she's not vocal about what she wants or needs, which means there's a tiny bit of like inefficiency in that the crew needs to tease out what she needs. In a race like Cocodona, though, I actually think that works in her benefit because it's less of like an F1 pit stop scenario. And I think she gets more energy back in the crew interaction than she would if she just blew through the aid station. It's much like her fascination with petting dogs. It's like the 10 seconds to stop to pet the dog probably gets her like a minute in time. So it's worth it. So, I mean, in my head, and this is something I think about when running, and I don't think I vocalized it to the crew, but it's like the phrase like slow is smooth and smooth is fast. And you can apply that to like your aid transitions too, but it's not necessarily slow, it's deliberate. So like, don't rush because like Rachel said, she doesn't go backwards. So if she leaves without calories, she's not coming back. So you cannot miss that. So just take your time and you'll get the time back later.
Yeah, but considering how like if she's not gonna like vocalize something, is this like kind of okay? Like, sorry, I feel like I'm talking about you, Rachel. Like you're not here in the room.
Oh, it's okay.
But it feels that way though. Where I'm like, how does it feel? But you have to know her really well though, right? Because like if you didn't know her, just be kind of like, oh well, she's fine. But like in reality, it's like no, like there's things going on there, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that is
So
why I chose all of these dudes.
Yeah, everyone on her cruise speaks the language of Rachel Entrekin. You know what I mean? So as she's coming in, all of us have enough experience with her, whether it's body language or whether, she says something and then you have to go, okay, what does she actually mean by that? And then it's up to us to kind of figure out based off of how she's acting, what she's saying. Um, that might determine if we make a change, or if she's acting a certain way. Hey, maybe we need to change what we give her for food, or, make small adjustments. But yeah, we definitely have to like read in between the lines, figure out the language, and then, figure out what we need to get to her to get her out.
Yeah, there was more than once where like we were asking Rachel like, oh, do you want to swap your shirt? Or, maybe this jacket looks a little wet. Do you want to take the next one? And her answer was always, it's fine. And what that means is no, swap
No.
the item. And yes, because otherwise she'll just say it's fine the whole race.
Well, it is fine.
Could be better.
one of the cool parts of Cocodona that I like is that this is unlike Moab, is that you have cell service almost everywhere on course. So if we were in a pacing section with her, we could kind of tell the rest of the crew, for 2-3 miles out, hey, this is what she wants. She wants Coke, she wants pretzels, mashed potatoes. And that would help us be more efficient, kind of getting her in and out of the aid station, to where if we didn't have that, we would have to wait until we got there and kind of scramble to get things. So,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Like just thinking about like communication in general, like it's like you have to communicate all these different things, whether it's like while she's there, like before and after. But then if you can save time, if it's like even just a minute or two at each aid station, like that's quite a bit, and it's just an easier thing to like. I guess it just makes things more efficient, I should say.
Yeah, I mean, there's like, 20-something aid stations, and if you're wasting 2-3 minutes per aid station, that does add up for sure. So, yeah, I did, now that I'm looking back on it, I did appreciate, like, the couple miles out when you guys were like, all right, like, we're coming up on the aid station, like, what do you want? Like, I'm going to text the people, like, whatever it is that you need. So that, because, I don't know, I can't really come up with, like, I'm so tired, like, I don't know what I want right now. Like, I need a minute or so. So that was kind of helpful with regard to like getting that streamlined a little bit. Was like, all right, you have 45 minutes to think about what you might want. Like start that process now and I'll text the boys. So yeah, that was definitely helpful.
Yeah, I think that's kind of relatable to like decision fatigue, where like if you come into like I've seen this with crews a lot, where they come in or like the runner will come in and it's like, here's like 12 options of food. Like, do you want a burger? Do you want pizza? Do you want pancakes? And it's like, this is like overwhelming. But if you're like, okay, do you want a piece of pizza or do you want pancakes? Like, what do you want? Or do you want mashed potatoes or do you want this? Like, it seems like that's another way to streamline things. Otherwise, it's just overwhelming and you're already tired.
Yeah, and there was actually, this happened to the first aid station, and I don't remember it happening at other ones, but I liked it. But it was like, you guys had everything laid out in bags, and you were like, you must choose 3 things. Like, I don't care what they are, but choose 3 of them. And I was like, okay, I choose these 3. And like, that was really... Because then it's like I get to pretend like I have a little bit of a choice, but I'm not having to make 100% of the decision. What?
You only took 2, by the way.
I took 2? Oh, well,
Yeah,
I chose
I was
that.
going to say, you took 2 for sure.
Oh, my bad.
Well,
I chose 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then that probably never happened again.
Yeah.
Right.
No.
Yeah.
Like how much of this stuff is planned beforehand? Because like my experience at like 200s is mainly like, because some of the beginning ones were always just a disaster because people were kind of figuring out how to like crew and run 200s. But like recently, like having been with Brownie and at like Sedona Canyons and Moab and then Cocodona last year, like he is so calculated with everything. Maybe that's the opposite of Rachel, where like you're not. But he's like, I'm gonna do this little baggie of like gels, food, whatever. But like I know you're kind of like in some ways off the seat of your pants, Rachel. But like, do you have some sort of plan going in with the crew to be like, okay, like at Crown King, we're gonna do this, this, and this, and then when we get to Whiskey Row, we're gonna do this, this, and this, or is it just kind of like, here's a bunch, Jake, you're laughing. So it looks like you're gonna laugh. Like, here's a bunch of crap. Let's figure it out.
He knows my answer. My answer is I have no plan.
Yeah.
Let's buy $700 or several $100s of groceries and then just wing it.
Yeah.
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 That was my plan. I mean,
Yeah.
really, my
And
only
you guys
plan,
can eat that too.
Yeah.
I mean, really, my only plan was just like, I did not eat very much last year. I thought that could probably be a big hindrance to this year's performance. Please just make sure I'm eating more than I ate last year, was the plan. So yeah, we went to the grocery store, bought probably like $500 worth of stuff, and like those are the options that I have now. So just like, you know, and I think you guys did a pretty good job of like sending me out with stuff and just being like reprimanding if I didn't eat it when I came back. So I did try to make you guys proud while I was out there and eat all my snacks. So
Yeah, I think
but yeah,
last
so
year.
oh good.
Go ahead, Evan.
You're good. Go ahead, Jake. It's all good.
I think like last year it was more so of kind of wing it. You know, I mean, everybody that was on the crew had never even been to a 200 miler besides Evan. We had other racing experience, shorter stuff, you know, but this year I felt like we kind of came into it where we had like our baseline categories of like, okay, we know that she eats this, and then we had like the accessory stuff, like we might add some of this later on, or you know, stuff we can do on the fly, like quesadillas or like whatever it is, you know, something that we might get a text from whoever's pacing her. We're at the car waiting for her, and they say, "Hey, she wants something savory, or she wants something salt." You know, whatever it is, we can kind of make adjustments on the fly. But I feel like we had a baseline of like, okay, this is what we know she eats. This is what we know she doesn't eat. And then let's kind of have a couple things, you know, on the back burner if we need to have them in, and you know, trying to avoid that situation like you talked about where you have 15 different things. She hasn't slept in 2.5 days. We haven't slept in 2.5 days, and no one can make a decision on what needs to be taken. You know what I mean? So just simplifying it down and having a few things we knew worked, I think makes it a lot easier for everyone to manage.
Yeah, and I would say this year you consumed a lot more of liquid calories, if I'm correct. So I think that
Big
was,
time.
yeah, very
Yeah,
instrumental. And just
4
yeah,
bags
last
of
year,
scratch, right?
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The crew probably had 2 bags of scratch.
At least each.
And like 100 precision baggies. What are the gels?
That's the other thing. Yeah, we chopped up servings into like single serving bags and just stuffed them in our pack. Especially for those long sections, like early in the race where, you know, there are water drops in between. We didn't want to just send her. I can see you, Gus. We didn't want to just send her with enough calories to get to the first
Jeez.
aid and then only have water from there. So we just like stuffed like 3, 4, 5 of those single serving packets in the back of her pack, and then we're just sort of always there. Which I think, especially later in the race, it was just easier to drink the calories. Right? So you always had that option.
Yeah, you do get a little tired of chewing at certain points.
Yeah, when I was with Jeff Peltier at Moab last year when he ran with, or him and Jesse Haynes like just threw down, it was super fun to be there. But like, I think it was at like mile 150 or something. He was like, "I'm so sick of chewing. Like, he just didn't want to chew anymore. He's like, my legs feel pretty good, but I don't want to chew. Like, just give me liquids." And
Yep.
it was really interesting. Like his mouth was like almost hurting because of it.
Yeah, it's a real thing for sure. I think, and I because I do think, especially in something like a 200+ mile race, like you do need to have real food, though. So I think while I was fine chewing, I really tried to make sure that I was actually eating food, like high density caloric foods like cashews and whatever, like dried fruits and stuff. And then I would just kind of like supplement with liquid calories, I think, a good bit. And then, you know, later on in the race when maybe my stomach wasn't feeling so good or I was getting tired of chewing, I would just like reverse that ratio a little bit. But yeah, I don't know. I don't think it's very, and maybe this is incorrect for right now or whatever, but I don't necessarily think it's very prudent to only rely on like liquid or gel calories in something like 200. Like I do think you need to get over the hatred of chewing and like suck down a grilled cheese sandwich every once in a while.
So how did you feel like mashed potatoes fit into that scenario? Because to me, it's like you can kind of just like gum them down. You don't need to chew them, but they are real food. Right? It's not liquid.
Yeah, they don't. I think they're more on the real food category.
I would agree,
like they're like thick. You know, it's not, and it doesn't taste processed in a way like a gel does. So I don't know. Mashed potatoes was the big, I think, standout star of Cocodona 2025 because I had a I don't even want to know how many mashed potatoes I
A
had
lot.
at this race.
Yeah, and we would actually send out little packets too, so she could eat them on the trail.
Yeah.
Well, you put like mashed potatoes like in a baggie or something and eat it.
Yeah,
In
like a
little,
resealable
like an
pouch.
applesauce thing.
Like a baby food package, you know?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was awesome.
Yeah.
10 stars.
That's a really good idea because like at a certain point, it's like you never like guess most people don't just like gels, but like if you're gonna have something like kind of gel like I guess like mashed potatoes, like it's a really good idea. And like
Just take a
Yeah,
big
'cause
pack of mashed potatoes in your vest, and you're good to go.
it's
Yeah.
amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you can
Fill
put
your
salt
flask.
in them, you can put butter in them.
Yep.
It's great.
And they're warm too, you know. So it's like you get a
Mhm.
soft flask full of mashed potatoes in your vest when it's like raining and cold. You know, you're like, this is nice.
And it's like even when they were a little bit cold, it was still fine. Like it was still just mashed potatoes. Like you could, I don't know, they were always good until they weren't. But that was only at like mile 230 when I was like, I am potatoed out. I am done with potatoes. No more potatoes, please.
Have you had any potatoes since Cocodona?
I don't think so. Definitely not mashed
We
potatoes.
just had potatoes at Indian tonight.
Did we have potatoes there?
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah.
I don't know. Whatever. Maybe I have. I don't know. Not mashed potatoes though. I've had no mashed potatoes or ramen. God. We were like going out to eat after the race was over, and the only place open was a Japanese place, and I was like, "Oh my God, I do not want any ramen." Like 0 out of 10. Please.
I mean, ramen from a Japanese place is probably a lot better than like top ramen or whatever you're eating out
Mhm.
there.
it was.
Cup of noodles.
Yeah, a cup of
Yeah,
noodles.
Cup of noodles. Standard.
What about you guys though? Like being crew, because like I tried to plan out my food as much as possible, and like I have a fridge in my truck, so I can kind of take some real food with me. But like I ended up eating way more garbage than I planned on. Like I ran out of food after like day 2, and I was like, I don't have time to do anything. So like I kind of was like, okay, a gas station run. You like make the best in that situation. But like, what did you guys do? Like, you just snacks and like pretzels and mashed potatoes too, or what did you feel like?
We just ate Rachel's leftovers, pretty much. It's pretty much what we did. You know, like we would make her food and she would have some of it, and then we'd be left with like a 3/4 cup of ramen or like half a batch of potatoes, and we're just like, okay, here we go. Like, you know, like, oh, there's a bag of M&Ms already out. Might as well take 5 handfuls. You know, like it just became we ate like pretty much the same thing, you know, that she was eating. You know, because whatever we're giving her, it's handy and we have it out. It's made. I think we didn't have like real food until the day after we went to a restaurant in town. And
We had some along the way because we had a cooler in the car and the van had a fridge, so we did have some deli meat and some bread.
oh yeah, that
So
one
we
the first day.
I think on the first day we made some sandwiches, and
Yeah.
then I think the next time we had a sort of real meal was Rachel's parents came down on the last day and got some sandwiches for us and made a sort of a Taco Bell run for Rachel. So I think we scarfed a couple quesadillas and some
Yeah.
burritos, but there was probably a 48-hour period there in the middle where it was just, yeah, like Jake was saying, like leftover ramen, leftover potatoes.
Peanut butter M&Ms.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we
Really?
also kept alternating between pacing. And
Mhm.
so I feel like I kept eating light, thinking like, oh, I'm about to go for a run. I'm about to go run 17 miles. So I'm not going to eat a real meal. But occasionally it was like, oh, I'm going to have this bean and cheese burrito, or
Yeah.
I'm going to have 6 handfuls of M&Ms, or
Yeah, it is kind of like a hard part about it. You don't really know exactly when you're going to crew or pace, I mean. But then also, it's like your body's always just in that mode of like, I'm going to be pacing soon. Because you're
Yep.
just like
Oh,
surrounded by it.
big shout out to the Foxborough 8 people.
Yeah. They
They
fed
loaded
us.
us up with chili.
Yeah.
Mm.
We
It was
came creeping
amazing.
in like wild dogs, you know, that were like someone had food and we just kept like inching closer to the table because we're trying to be respectful. It's like, yeah, you know, you're not supposed to feed the crews, but like we can see the chili you're cooking and like it looks really good. And finally, until we all got close, she was like, do you guys want some food? And then immediately we're like, yes, please, all of it. Like whatever you have that's not M&Ms or Sour Patch Kids or like packaged mashed potatoes, like we'll take it, you know. So yeah, shout out to the Foxborough crew.
That's funny. Yeah, that was a cool aid station though, because it was a new one and
Mm-hmm.
it was a little bit different. It's fun to mix it up a bit.
For sure.
Yeah, what about caffeine intake? Because I'm embarrassed to say how much caffeine I drank that entire week, but like as a crew, how much caffeine do you guys take to kind of like stay alert? And
I think it would be wildly different answers for each of us because some of us aren't really big coffee drinkers, but I know Evan is, Kevin. Yeah, there were some extreme numbers, I'm sure.
I don't think during the race, I don't think I took in that much caffeine. Maybe like one of the Starbucks espresso drinks or something. But I think we were all just too in the moment. At least I was to really care about that stuff or really need it. So
I think I
I
did. I
think
did a big coffee on the first day, but then again with the leftovers, I probably had 5 cans of Coke, all because they were just half finished by Rachel.
Right.
So I do remember laying down for a nap at one point, and I was like, "There's no chance. I have so much caffeine in my body right now.
yeah.
It's like not happening."
I
I
think
think it,
Rachel's mom and dad brought us McDonald's coffee at Fort
Yeah.
yeah.
Tuttle,
mhm.
and that one cup lit me up for like 17 hours. So I was pretty much,
I think they brought 6 or 8 cups for the four
yeah.
of us. So
I couldn't even finish half of one before I was like trembling. I was like, okay, I'm done. I'm maxed out. Yeah.
it's funny. Yeah, they always think it's interesting because it's like when you're out there and you're just on the go the entire time, and you're always focused on someone else versus yourself. Like it's really easy to like kind of get in the hole, you could say. Like I know it's not like it sounds really like life or death right there, but it's like you're just so focused on helping someone else that like you kind of forget about like what you have to do. Then if you throw pacing on top of that, it's like you have all these miles, like you're still running like 30 miles or 40 miles or
Yeah.
something. Like it's not just like pacing the section for something short.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's a massive undertaking for sure.
Yeah. So like how much like I know we kind of backtracking a little bit, but like how much like planning went into all this because like again, like Rachel's not a huge planner. I guess sounds like Kevin, you're way more of a planner and like into like numbers and logistics and stuff. But like,
Uh-huh.
did you guys all meet up beforehand and go over this to make sure you're like all on the same page and ready to go? Because like,
We had, I think we had one
There we
phone
go.
call.
I'm doomed.
You can't pet
First the
through
pizza, now the
through
noodle.
the screen.
give me the noodle cam.
There we go.
Yeah,
There we go.
having a pre-race meeting sounds like a lot more planning than I'm used to. We had a phone call where we kind of reviewed like, my big goals of like, please make sure I'm eating. Here's what's happening when I'm bonking. Please make sure everybody sleeps, and like ideally let's have a good time. But Kevin, you did a lot of work. I think on like spreadsheets.
It was
I
just,
didn't do any.
I just wanted to get everything in one spot for the whole crew. So we had a text chain going, and I had a Google Drive folder of just like, okay, here's the offline available runner guide. Here's the offline available pacer guide. Here's all the maps, and like just so everything is available at like one touch. And then, yeah, historically, I always do spreadsheets. I think I did Kevin Schmidt around for his money in Excel. So like, I built like, yeah, a spreadsheet with splits that does, it's like interpolating pace per section, and it like cascades times and things. So I built that for Rachel, and like ironically, the first pass I had after like talking with the crew was like 65:30, and Rachel thought that was kind of crazy because she was initially thinking like sub 70 sounded good, but those are just the numbers. It's just data. But we used that throughout the race because you could sort of take a split either through an aid station or conveyed by crew and plug it in and see what happens 12 hours later in terms of where she'll be. So we always had a decent shot, I think, of like anticipating within plus or minus like probably 20 minutes, I think almost every aid station.
I mean, that's pretty solid.
Use that spreadsheet?
I updated it because it's like, well, my original projection is like she'll be at, whatever, Tut Hill at 3 a.m. But now it's like, no, the previous night at 9 p.m. So you just got to plug all that stuff in and it cascades down. And that's how we knew, like, oh, she's projecting at like a 64-hour finish. Like we knew that 18 hours before the finish. So, yeah, I used it quite heavily.
I mean,
Some
personally, I
of
think
us
that's
never
really cool.
used it.
Gus is there for the vibes. Yeah.
Yeah, who actually used
Gus
the
is like,
spreadsheet?
what
Who did
sheet? We have a spreadsheet?
That's
God.
funny. I think it's really cool though. Like, I don't know, like just having like numbers and like something to look at. Like, it's kind of, I don't know, it gets me amped to like see stuff like that and to see it
Well,
play
and
out. So
like
it's cool.
as you're trying to travel between these sections, especially with some of the reroutes because of construction, it was just comforting to know that like, okay, I can put the most optimistic split in here, and we have a 3-hour window. So let's get there 2.5 hours of that 3-hour window, and we're there probably an hour early. So like, it's just comforting to know that kind of stuff rather than like showing up 5 minutes before she comes, flying into the aid station.
Jake Vale. Last year. Anyway.
We're all right.
Yeah, we learned some stuff from last
What
year.
happened last year, and what did we learn from that, Jake?
Yeah, Jake, what did we learn?
I don't know. You want to share? Go ahead.
I think, and again, this is like shout out and props to crew because I had no idea that any of this was happening. But I guess last year, Jake, like, they got lost, or like they put in the incorrect coordinates or something for the aid station, and we're like,
Oh, that part. Yeah.
Yeah, that part. What do you think? What other part? I don't want to know.
So that was at, I believe that was at Walnut Canyon.
Walnut Canyon, yeah.
So there's two ways you can get into Walnut Canyon. You can take this bitch of a road that's dirt for miles and miles, or you can sneak up the highway and only be on that dirt road for a little bit. And I remember Jake and Chalice, they took that road and they were driving the van too. So I'm sure it was just absolute hell trying to get to the aid station.
Yeah.
But I mean, that was it.
Yeah, but they flew in, I guess, 5 minutes before I got there, and it was Jake's turn to pace. So, but I had no idea. It was just like, all right, cool, you ready to go? Let's move. And it was seamless. It was fine.
Nobody died.
Nobody died. Yeah.
Nobody died. Everyone was fine.
I think a funny part of like pacing and crewing is like the number of white lies you tell. Because it's like, oh, like, how are things in the crew? Oh, they're great. And really, this is a total disaster behind the scenes. But you don't want to like stress
Everything's
your runner
on fire.
Everything's so smooth. We're all getting along great.
Yeah.
Nobody
was fighting.
Yeah. Also, I felt great and well rested the whole time. So everybody's lying to each other.
Whoops.
But it's for our own good.
I mean, I think it's funny. It's like you don't want to stress your runner out. Like, you could be having the most chaotic like time ever, but it's like, yeah, we're totally cool.
Yeah. Every time she came in, we made sure we were hugging and smiling, and everyone was having a good time. Yeah.
I think I don't remember if I said this year, but I definitely said it last year. It's like everything is on a need to know basis. Like, if I don't need to know about it, don't tell me till the race is over. Because I'm already pretty much like, I'm doing my thing, and like I can't focus on any other thing right now.
Like if Courtney drops.
I guess.
Yeah, let's talk about that from a crew dynamics perspective, because so my thought was like, I'm gonna take a nap because like nothing's gonna happen in the middle of the night on the first night. And then I wake up and everyone's like, Courtney dropped. I'm like, whoa. Then I check the tracker and it's like Rachel's in like third or fourth or something at that point. So like, what were you guys thinking in your head? You're just like, oh, holy crap. Like, are we going to just dominate this race? Or was it like, what was going on with you guys?
I mean, from my perspective, so I left Mingus with Rachel. I was pacing through to Dead Horse. So I knew when Rachel was at Mingus that Courtney was still inside, but I didn't know what was going on. So we just, started running. I didn't really tell her anything. But for whatever reason, I checked my phone, I think probably like first light, like maybe 5:30 in the morning, just to see what was happening. And I saw that Courtney's tracker still had her at Mingus. So I shot the guys a text. I'm like, what is going on? It looks like she's still there. And they didn't know in the moment. And I wasn't telling Rachel any of this. But eventually they fired back and said, well, it's confirmed that Courtney dropped. And I think it was Jake that texted me. And he's like, maybe just hold on to that for a bit. So the plan, I think the reason we withheld it wasn't so much like it was going to change how she was racing, but we were considering that she might need to sleep soon. And just like that, like additional information of like, oh, the race is now different, and whatever else may just kind of keep her awake. So that was the whole reason for withholding it, is to try to allow her to sleep, and then after she woke up, we would tell her. But it just so happens that she stayed awake for another like 16 hours or something. So eventually it got out.
Yeah, so Jake, why was your immediate thought like hold on to that information? Like what was your
because we were anticipating you possibly sleeping,
okay.
you know.
All right.
And this is the other component to following a racer around in this big stuff is like the sleep game is really important, you know, and there is I don't know if anyone's really figured it out yet. It's all individual, you know, as far as how a runner reacts to going long periods of time without sleep. But I just assumed that there was a chance that she was going to try to shoot this whole thing without sleep. I just kind of had that in the back of my mind going into this. So having to trust what she's saying as far as when she's recommending she needs to sleep, or her coming in saying, I don't need any sleep. I'm like, you look like you need to sleep, you know? So I think just holding that it sounded like too much information at that time. And then it didn't really seem important to tell her, you know? So it all worked out, I guess.
Yeah, it's interesting to think about because I think like most people just be like stoked, like I gotta tell Rachel right now because like this is just like it's a cool thing as far as like
Yeah.
okay, like now you're like so far in the lead at that point because it was really just Rachel and Courtney racing, to be honest. Like nothing against like Sarah and I forgot the girl who took second, but like you guys were just so far ahead that like it was your race at that point, which is like pretty crazy.
Yeah, that's the other thing is I think at the time I found out that Courtney dropped, I think Rachel was like 24 miles ahead of Lindsay in second.
Yeah.
So like I wouldn't expect this, but there can be kind of a letdown if you say, look, well, now you're 24 miles ahead. I was like, well, okay, maybe I jog more.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't think that would happen, but I didn't want to give that a chance to happen.
Well, what was the difference between, because last year when Mika had to leave the course, I mean, that was like, bam, information at my fingertips. Like, what was the difference between this year and last year? With regard to like the urgency at which I was told, was it just the sleep game, or was there like something else?
I think at first we weren't completely sure if that was true, so maybe it was kind of us trying to wait to make sure that was a valid claim. And I agree too. Like if we would have told you that she dropped and you were planning to sleep, that could possibly disrupt you being able to fall asleep quickly. So.
When you go up against Courtney Dauwalter in the 200, yeah, go ahead.
I was just saying the point in time in which those incidents occurred is wildly different.
Yeah.
Like the thing with Mika was so much later in the race.
Oh yeah, I guess that's true.
And I think going up against Courtney Dauwalter in a 200 miler, we're not looking to like take unnecessary chances or risks, you know, like I think everyone on our crew was really excited to watch Rachel go head to head with Courtney in a race like this. Because I don't think that none of us doubted that she could do it. And so in that moment, it just seemed like an unnecessary piece of information that was too early. You know what I mean? It's still 100 miles into a race already, you know, but in the grand scheme of things, it just didn't seem necessary, you know, to pull that out of the hat yet, you know?
Yeah, did that add pressure to you guys as a crew to be like, okay, like Rachel and Courtney are racing and like everyone just like idolizes Courtney and like Courtney's great, don't get me wrong, but it's like that's like okay, you're going against like Evander Holyfield or whatever. It's like it's a big deal. So like were you guys kind of stressed too because you know Rachel can do it, but it's also like if she fails, it could partly be your fault.
I thought Courtney was going to have her hands full, to say the least. You know, I was fully confident that Rachel had all the ability and knowledge to get it done, and I was really looking forward to those two going at it in a race like this. You know, I was stoked, a little nervous for sure. You know, it's a big deal, but just as a friend to Rachel and part of the crew, it's like that's what you want. You're like dying for that moment, you know, because we know what she's capable of doing. Maybe not everyone else. Everyone sees Courtney, but we know what Rachel brings to the table, and to get that opportunity to see her go head to head against the best, Yeah, I was more than fired up to see that for sure. Yeah.
I think a really important thing in 200s is that you run your own race. When you start trying to compete with people before, the first 100 miles, we kind of saw what happened. People blew up. Um, and that's something that she's really good at, is just kind of doing her own thing, running her own race. And then when it's time to turn it up and, put your foot on the gas later in the race, you have the energy and reserves to do that.
Yeah, it was. Maybe this is foolish, but I was telling Rachel beforehand. You're playing. Courtney is actually playing your game in this race, not the other way around. Like Courtney's Courtney, she's the GOAT. But if I can't think of a better scenario in which to take on the best in the world, if I'm Rachel, than this course at this point in time. So my whole goal was to like try to shepherd her to like mile 200 and be within a couple hours. Because I know she's probably the best after like 36 hours of any runner I've ever seen. She does not degrade. So if you want a shot at beating Courtney, hang on to like mile 180 or 200 and then just like let it rip. So I don't know what would have happened if Courtney was hung around the whole race, but that was the plan. It's just wait, and wait. Because I've never seen anyone run as well late in a race as Rachel does.
Aw, thanks.
What about you, Gus?
Oh, I was so screwed. So worried about screwing up the whole day. I mean, I was like, I'm gonna get her lost. I don't know, just not. Yeah, I was primarily concerned about getting lost or just, I don't know, playing a role in ruining her day.
Yeah. So
But
Gus,
that's just
oh,
where
go
my
ahead.
head goes to.
Yeah, I had about an hour-long phone conversation with Gus while I guess you were driving down from Idaho to Arizona, and he was just like anxious and like, well, how much like how do I download the map and like where is this on the website and like how do I do this? And I just remember being like, Gus, like truly, it's not a big deal. Like, here are where your sections are. Just have them downloaded. And he actually admittedly did have two sections. He had the new section on the Hangover Trail, so I couldn't really give him any intel other than like, I think it's probably going to be hard to find. And then he had the section through the Dells, the Granite Dells in Jerome, which is also, I mean, String Bean got lost there last year. Like, it can be pretty slow. And like, I don't know if it was like, maybe I pushed that a little too hard. I don't know. But admittedly, like, we went through both of those sections, like, pretty flawlessly.
Hmm.
So, I mean, like, for all the anxiety that Gus brought to the table, I mean, he definitely performed extremely well. And, like, we shaved off. I mean, I remember going through those Dells this year just being like, holy crap, like, we're already done. Like, this section took me, like, 2 hours last year or something, and, like, we're already through it. And that was so much, like, easier, you know? So, yeah, it worked. Good job, Gus.
I have been lost in the Dells before, so I was nervous about a little repeat on that.
The whole section of the Dells is just a maze. It's like it's really pretty, but it's also really sucky to run through.
Yeah.
I think.
Yes.
But
Did we have it during the daytime this year?
It
Mm-mm.
was nighttime.
It was nighttime again? Man, I've never run through that part in the daytime.
it's
But,
Just
oh
actually
gotta
well.
run a little faster.
Yeah.
God.
Next
Or a lot
time.
slower.
Or a lot slower. Yeah.
next time just go for like 50 hours or something, and you can see it
Oh
during
my
the day.
God. Everybody needs to calm down.
What do you think? Like, I'm curious in everyone's opinion or ideas. Of, like, what do you think would have happened if Rachel and Courtney were just going like neck and neck the entire race? Like, how fast would they have ran?
That's a tough call. Record breaking, whatever it was going to be under the course record. Whether it was one of them or two of them. I think that was the way it was going. Yeah, I would have
I'm
loved to see that for sure. I would have
I'm of
loved
the
to see
opinion
that.
they would have blown each other up.
Oh, you think so?
If you had raced side by side for like 100 miles, I think you would have blown each other up. Yeah,
And Lindsay Dwyer for the win.
coming up. coming up at the end. Yeah. No, I just think like because I don't know, that's a long time to be racing each other, and I don't think either of you have the personality of just like choosing to let the other one go ahead in that scenario. That later in the race, I'm assuming this is like we're at mile 150 and they're still racing kind of deal. It's like, oh, we got 100 miles left, let's throw down. I mean, that would have been wild. So you may have gone under the course record, but
48 hours. Just kidding.
I don't know. I mean, that would have been wild to see. Yeah, what would have happened if you guys were like racing head to head and just like not racing the course necessarily, you're actually racing the person. Because that's way different.
Yeah, I don't know how healthy that is. I would like to think that I would not have gone there.
And yeah, the back of a 250 doing that. It's like, okay, let's race 100 miles. That's 150 miles on our legs and no sleep. Be entertaining.
Yeah. Oh, it'd be super entertaining. Like Dan was saying when we did our show together that like he thinks that people eventually will go like 48 hours out there.
God. Maybe.
I mean, I haven't seen the whole course obviously, but there's a lot of really fast runnable sections. So like if you're committed to like letting it rip, you could probably chop off a half hour here and there pretty easily. 48 might be aggressive, but low 50s maybe. I mean, it depends on if the course changes as well. Like this course direction, I think is just like Rachel's mentioned before, especially at the very end, it's much slower. Something like last year's course with like this year's effort, I think we've been talking, it's like you probably would have sniffed 60 hours as is. And then if it's a dry, like if it's a cool and a dry year, no mud, that's probably another 2 hours.
Yeah.
So then you're looking at 58-ish. So
I don't know.
It's going to get faster.
Yeah, I'd be curious to revisit where this course is in like 6 years' time and just see like, well, has anybody hit a 4 yet? I don't know. That sounds insane to me because, I mean, there's definitely areas where I feel like I improved. And I mean, none of my wildest dreams that I think I'm going to shave 10 hours off my time from last year. Because even last year, I felt like I was moving really efficiently.
Mm-hmm.
But this year, I mean, I was moving really efficiently. So it's hard to imagine outside of just like pure improvements in fitness. Like, how can you chop another 10 hours off that time? I don't know.
And I think that inherently means that you're not sleeping at all. You're not even trying. Because that's just like dead time. Even if you don't sleep, but you lay down for 20 minutes at a time, you just can't do that. If you're going to dip into the 40s, you just got to commit to like, no sleep, we're just going to send it. Which maybe is liberating, I guess.
Yeah, I guess if you
Just
go into
try
like zero sleep strategy, like, okay, well, I'm not going to sleep because I'm going to run fast the entire time. Like,
Just get it
you
over
can't-
with.
Yeah, it's just going to push through it, be done with it until the wheels fall off.
Scary, but fast.
Yeah.
I mean, it'd be super fun to watch as long as nobody got hurt. But yeah, so I guess like I don't know, we've been going for a little bit now, but like what was like the worst part of you guys crewing out there? Like, did you have any like terrible? Is that your blind cat? Oh
No, this one has eyes.
No, that's I feel like we could just be talking and just have like the Gus Gibbs video camera. It's just like all the things
Yeah.
you've been doing during this show. It's like, here's my dog, here's my cat.
Here's my pizza.
Here's my pasta.
Yeah, here's my fridge. Here's my here's my mason jar in my fridge.
Here's my scratch hat.
Here's a new flavor of scratch.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
And like, were there any like really rough times for you guys though? Like, just any low points, or was it all pretty much like this is pretty sick because you know what's going down?
I think our one low point was at Fort Tuthill. I think, we were all running on fumes, hadn't really had anything to eat. So, we kind of got into it a little bit, but I think it allowed us to grow closer. And it's almost a given that that's going to happen during a 200-mile race, especially when there's high stakes. Like your runner is, on pace to break course record. So it's like we don't want to fuck things up. So it's like tensions are high. But I mean, I think it went off. We resolved it pretty quickly and moved on. And as a crew, that's just that's just what you have to do.
Yeah.
Especially on, think about it. You have a bunch of dudes packed into a small van. No one slept. You know what I mean? Like Evan said, we're all geeked out on sugar and caffeine. We're stressed out. And all it takes is like one little thing. And it was like we had a car parked where we needed to have the van, and that's all it took to just send the whole thing into left field. Next thing you know, it's a bunch of dudes going rah rah in the parking lot. You know what I mean? Because the car's in the wrong place. It's just none of it means anything. You know what I mean? Yeah, we're all kind of on edge. You know what I mean? But I think we all reeled it back in. There was hugs and love, and by the time she came in today, we were rocking, and she went out like
No idea.
nothing
no
even
idea.
happened. You know what I mean? And life goes on. Welcome to Cocodona. Yeah.
A lot goes on. Welcome to Cocodona is probably
Yeah.
the tagline of this race.
Yeah. What happens at Cocodona definitely stays at Cocodona for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's always like interesting no matter what. I think there's always like so much we can learn from Cocodona. Like obviously it's a fun race to be there and to follow, and like we were talking about earlier, like how big it's grown over the years and how cool it is. But it's also like this is like the amount of friends I've made at Cocodona, and like you like have these like it sounds dramatic to say like traumatized, but you have like hard experiences and you really bond with people even more so than 100. And I think that's probably because of like the zero sleep and then how long you're out there for. It's like it's kind of exponential.
Bunch of warriors, It's
might be a little dramatic.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's like you survive Cocodona, right? It's like when we see another crew when we're at mile 200, like the emotions that we share, like the conversations that we have, like you would think that we'd known these people for a decade. You know what I mean? We'd never met these people before the race, And in the beginning, it's one thing. Everyone's like, we're here, we're gonna do this, and and then by like mile 20, we're making like terrible jokes to each other and, throwing food at one another. You know what I mean? It's like we're waving to each other on the freeway, like you're going down, like just try to make it fun, because like it is, yeah, we all choose to be there and like it's this amazing event, but it's a lot to do, and it takes a lot out of every single person that's involved from the crew side and the running side. Uh, yeah, I mean, I have relationships too that I became friends with people during that week that I'll have for the rest of my life, and it's pretty rare to have that especially in a racing setting. Like, there's not many races you can go to and develop relationships that we all walk away from like Cocodona. I mean, it's like in a category of its own for sure.
So last year, we were always kind of close to Kevin Goldberg's crew. Was there anybody this year that like you guys kind of orbited at all?
Not really. I wouldn't say orbited. We always kept seeing Harry's crew. So like shout out to their team. They were super sweet and awesome.
Brian Sands' crew as well. That whole Solomon team.
Okay.
Mhm.
Oh, did you get
And
to see
then,
Lucy Bartholomew? I'm so envious. I wanted to meet her.
Yeah.
I met her at
We hung
Jerome.
out with her a couple times. And then
I was like, wow, you're real.
Eder's crew was awesome. They were
Yeah.
like an example of a group of people that we just immediately bonded with. And it's really funny thinking back to that and talking about if you and Courtney were to be racing, it felt interesting in that respect, in that I think as a pacer, I wouldn't really want to interfere with your race. It's almost like let the racers go in front, let the pacers go. Like, kind of imagine if Courtney had a pacer and you had a pacer, and we're just like the pacers are just watching you two duke it out. I mean, what would you do? I just pull back and just try to get out of there or record it.
Record
Yeah,
it.
record it.
Start filming.
But it must have been really interesting overlapping with Eder and his pacer when you guys were pretty even.
Yeah,
But
what was
I
that like?
wasn't
'Cause,
I
yeah,
wasn't pacing that section.
I mean, at the beginning of that section, I remember because, I mean, at that point, I was just happy to be having the race I was having. I mean, the placement for me was never the end goal. But I do remember we ran out of the aid station at Wildcat, and we were in third. And I remember telling Jake, like, hey, like, I would like this spot. Like, this spot is the one that I want. But, like, I'm not going to be upset if something happens and I do not get it. And Jake just was like, understood. And, like, you know, and I could tell for that, like, that section, I mean, he wasn't, I wouldn't say you were pushing the pace, but you were making sure, I could always tell you were, like, looking at me and making sure I was, like, staying consistent and staying moving. And I think there were a couple times where you were like, come on, like, let's go, kind of thing. But, I mean, it was really, like, when they passed us, it was very, like, I guess, like, convivial. Like, it was like, oh, right, like, you guys look awesome. Like, you guys look awesome, too. Like, this is so cool. Look at us out here. It was very, like, I don't know. There wasn't any, I personally was not disappointed to get to watch somebody have an incredibly impressive race. Like, I was the front seat to watching him just, like, haul ass up Eldon, just, like, respectably, you know? So yeah, I mean, that's at least my perspective. I don't think it was like, you know, there was obviously like the desire to maintain the position that I was in, but I knew that like if he's doing super well, like there's only so much really I can do. But yeah, it was very impressive to watch him get up that mountain as fast as he did. He was very fast.
I almost gave him a hug because when he went by us in his pacer, and it was like it's like the best interaction you ever want to have
It was really
in that
nice.
situation, right? Like I'm looking at the tracker, so I'm like refreshing and I'm getting, I'm communicating with the boys, so I know like where we are at, right? And I'm like refresh it. I'm like, dang, he's hauling, And when he went by us, like I saw him coming from a distance. He got to us like I think it's Little Eldon or whatever the first like kind of the start of the proper climb. Um, he came by us like laughing and hooting and hollering and like he was so completely out of his mind without sleep. Like you could, it was so visible, but he was just like, man, I came, I saw you, and then I lost my mind because I had no sleep, and I go crazy, and he's like, the trees are talking, and the rocks are talking, and I don't know what's going on, but I'll see you guys, and he just like left. And I knew immediately, I looked at Rachel, I was like, well, there's no way
No
we're gonna,
way.
no possible way. Like
No
he's in the
way.
best mood. I high-fived his pacer, he high-fived me, we gave him congrats, we started up the hill, and then by like halfway, I already see him at the top, and we're like hooting and hollering, and he's hooting and hollering, and it was just like it was the best case scenario for that moment. Like you couldn't not be happy for him and his team. There was no like, silent aggressive, move. It was just like, yo, dude, we're all out of our minds right now. Like high fives, like go have fun. See you at see you in flag. It was just perfect.
Yeah, and like too, I mean, both of us were having like the best race of our lives. And so I think like getting to like, and you know, we hadn't seen another racer. I mean, I think the last time I saw anybody was Harry right before the Dells. So like we're talking,
It was Eder when he passed us the first time.
oh well, whatever. I don't
And
remember.
he was just as happy.
Well, cheers.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like, you know, you don't really, we didn't, I guess, like, we didn't interact as much. And, you know, being that close to the finish line and, like, knowing, like, this is, like, we did it, basically. Like, we just did this. And we just did this well. It was really cool to, like, see, like, your fellow racer, like, crush it. So, I mean, from my perspective, and I think that probably is why I wasn't upset that I got past that late in the race, was because it was like, well, dang, like, he had a fantastic race. Like, I can't be upset that he had a fantastic race. So yeah, that was awesome. I think he did so well, and he was so fun to like kind of race against in those last 50 miles or whatever. Yeah, mad props to that guy.
Yeah, you both ran like incredible races. So it's cool to hear like obviously there's like no animosity, but it's like cool to see you are stoked for each other, and he just seems like a good dude in general too. So it's like it just kind of validates that.
He wanted me to take a picture with his family, and I was like, yes, I would love to. Like he was a great guy. He was a fun person to race against for sure.
Yeah, I need to get a hold of him because he lives in Vegas, so he's only like a couple hours from me. So it's like a straight shot down there, and it'd be cool to meet him and like go film with him or something.
You should.
Or just talk.
Yeah, he's cool. He's a cool guy.
Yeah. So in September when Rachel runs Mammoth 200, you guys all, gang up together.
Don't egg her on, man. Dang. There we go.
Yeah, they're recruiting super hard. I already got plane. I got to do plane. I don't know. We'll see. I need to reevaluate my life.
Have you done plane before, Rachel?
Yeah, I've done plane before.
Once or twice?
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah. This will be my
just
4th
checking.
time.
Okay, so you should probably do something else.
Yeah.
Well, I want to taste Tara.
There's also Mammoth. You could race Mammoth.
Anyway, we're gonna table this conversation for after hours.
Team meeting after this.
This is the team meeting right now. I'm becoming part of the
Are you
team
part of the crew now? You're
temporarily for the next 10 minutes or so.
There's Derrick, you're invited to the team meeting.
Thank you. Temporary team member.
Yeah.
There's prize money in there.
Oh, really? Oh, I didn't know that.
That's what I heard.
20K to the men's and women's podium.
20K?
Yeah, there's some decent prize money. I was looking at it.
Well,
if you get a sponsor, they may match that. They may quadruple that.
Probably quadruple. I think Scratch would do that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, but you got a spaghetti dinner at Plain. That's really fun. I really like it. It's really fun.
A rock.
And you get a rock.
You get another rock too.
Maybe you could volunteer at Plain.
Yeah.
There are no aid stations. I don't know. We're gonna think about it. But
there's a lot of cool rocks in the Sierra, though.
There are. I used to.
Yeah.
I lived there.
There are.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Let's go to
Mammoth. I know everything. Okay, everybody needs to calm down. They posted a thing.
Keep sending those messages, Tim. Let's go, man. When she needs more, let's go.
I just want a verbal commitment right now.
Oh my gosh! They posted.
You're getting it from her team. That's all you need.
They posted a thing that was like, "Should the Queen come to Cocodona?" Yes, and I thought it said yes or no, but it just said yes or yes. I was like, okay. Anyway, it was funny. Yeah, I don't know.
Solidify your queendom or whatever you would say.
The Coco Mammoth.
Coco Mammoth. Yeah.
Coco Mammoth.
Yoinks. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. Everybody is peer pressuring me.
Sounds like you're intrigued.
Yeah, you are.
I mean, it's the Sierra. It's one of my favorite places. So I don't know. Of course, I'm intrigued.
You're the one that asked us if you should do it. Remember that?
Yeah. Whatever. These are bad influence. Bad influences running club. That's what this is.
Yeah.
Bad influences are positive enablers. It depends on how you look at it.